Circumcision is the second rite of passage and arguably the most valuable among the Bukusu. No one can pinpoint to a particular year and say this is the year that circumcision began. However, what is known to the community is that the rite was first performed by women on a man. Yes, remember Samba Sambaranengunyi, a vagabond whose father Wanahatandi had been eaten up by ogres in the ancient times. In those days, no ceremony nor rules were observed other than simply cutting the foreskin. And this cutting dates back to the folktale about a man named Wanahatandi, who sang, "How shall I walk alone?" That was during the Stone Age period. Blacksmithing had not begun. After the women peeled off a foreskin from Samba's genitals, they slept with him. In the process, many children were born, among them Saenyi, Makulumabi, Makulunyende, Mwambu, Sasula, and others. The aforementioned are the forefathers of the Bukusu. The rite used to be undergone by grown-up men, unlike today where people are circumcising young boys. So ideally, that is how the rite began, and it was undergone by mature men. A man was supposed to marry before undergoing it. It remained like that, but after Mwambu came about, Iron Age set in, paving way for blacksmiths. With this, people started to make special knives known as Embalu to be used for circumcision, as well as making axes, hoes, spears. A new era began. The first man faced a stone, while those who came after him faced the knife. The circumcisers or foreskin swallowers call it Luhya, meaning that the knife cannot perform any other task other than cutting the foreskin. There were men whose time to undergo circumcision was due, but they called it off severally due to various reasons such as forcible relocation. The men became the first ever to taste the use of Embalu or Luhya. They included the legendary miner Makutukutu, Luhalabanda, Nyamayandosi, among others. The postponement delayed the onset of new age groups. Well, this is the arithmetic. An age set among the Bukusu lasts for about a century, after which all the 8 age groups will have been named. Each age group lasts for 12 years, with the circumcision taking place every even year, known as Lubito or advice-giving year. The age groups are preceded by Kolongolo, followed by Kikwameti, Kananachi, Kinyikeu, Nyange, Maina, Chuma, and finally Sawa. It is important to note that the cycle cannot restart if a man of a particular age group that is about to be named is still alive. For example, if the last age group, that is Sawa, has come to an end and they want to start all over again, men will search around for any Kolongolo man still alive. Should he be still around, then Sawa will prolong until the year when all the Kolongolo age group men will be gone. This happened when Sawa was to be renamed, but it was found out that a man called Makutukutu of the Bahurarua clan had refused to die, living for so many years. It forced the Chuma age group to last for 16 years. Now, let us see. Do circumcisers just come from any clan? We have specific clans that produce circumcisers. Although it is obvious that a spiritual gift can cross freely to other clans due to interclan marriages, but originally, circumcisers came from Bahurarwa, Balako, Bamusomi, Bamasike, Bamilamasondo, those clans. Women are also born with their spiritual gifts and they can carry them to other clans. There is a notion that Embalu, or the circumcision process, was initiated by Mango. However, Situma allays the notion. He says that after several invasions by the Teso, circumcision was suspended until the Bukusu settled, and here Mango underwent the cut ceremoniously after his father managed to kill a lethal snake. Many people take it that circumcision was initiated by Mango, which is not true. He revived it. You see, back then, Maina, Sanjamolu were circumcised. They could not start a custom they had not been practicing. Mango wasn't the one that killed a lethal snake, but his father. At their place, there was a snake that used to kill children, people. One day, Mango's father took a machete and laid a trap for the snake, eventually killing it. At that time, the Maasai were performing their circumcision rite. So Mango's father also felt ready for the rite, having achieved a great feat. But the people declined his request, fearing that the cut would be too dangerous for him due to his old age. Instead, they agreed that his son, Mango, would be circumcised. Since Mango was still too young for the cut, he was sat on a chair instead of standing as required. That is why you hear people say he is suffering like Mango, a young child who was circumcised while seated. That is when the age groups we have today were started. When we calculate, we find that Mango was circumcised at around 1900. His age group was called Kolongolo Hururwe Nandemu. The age groups were named after the prevailing circumstances. Among the Bukusu, there is a distinct difference between one getting circumcised and braving the cut. With circumcising, it can be on anybody, a child, a dead person, a stranger, etc. But braving the cut means one makes a decision on his own to face the cut. Situma paints for us a picture of a typical circumcision ceremony.
So mungirandala omundu namala werusya khukeba we Embalu olabo balakhwalikera balakhwa kaba kingira kyose khwakikisya mbo omundu ino alunyala walinde khola.
In one way or the other, after a person of his own free will offers himself to be cut, he will be given some tests. For instance, he can be tasked to uproot a particular type of grass known as busi nyande, a class of deep-rooted grass whose uprooting is an uphill task. Old men ask the initiate to perform that feat. In a way, they are testing your strength. Can you wrestle down a leopard, a lion? Let us say in those days, as it were, a hyena has snatched a goat. Can you rescue it? That is how one could be evaluated. They can as well take a red-hot charcoal and place it on your toenail. That too was an exam. A Bukusu could not circumcise a boy, but a man aged 18 and above, in most cases 20 to 25 years. In fact, when you examine most of the Kikwameti age group members, they were circumcised at that age. Back in the days, the practice was undergone by married men. The circumcision ceremony begins after an initiate has passed the tests. His mother and father are made aware, signifying that they are mature enough. Then there comes a question. Have the parents undergone all the required customs? That is very key. Was dowry paid for the mother? Did she undergo what we call sitero? If yes, her husband gives her a live goat to take to her people. Her people will slaughter the goat. Her father reciprocates by giving her another goat, millet flour wrapped in banana leaves and a bunch of banana. Nothing more. With the help of her peers, she delivers the luggage to her mother-in-law's house, then leaves for her house. The goat is slaughtered and ugali prepared, eaten by all but herself and her husband. At this time, a son is bracing for a cat. His request has been granted. A ceremony called Khuoyaisia is performed. The ceremony is an assurance by the initiate that he will brave the circumcision. That is the essence of it. A son is asking for the go-ahead.
Kekire papa wafukirire olikuwenya ali umwana none nyachokire none kuchokira umwana abanende papa khaba abafukiriza nambo nde member bizo sifunandishia kuchokira.
A ceremony known as Khuoyaisia precedes circumcision, performed mostly 2 days prior to the D-Day. Here, a father asks his wife to dry a little fermented flour in a cooking bowl and kneads it until it turns brown. It will be given to the son to pour into a small pot. He is thereafter escorted to a designated river point while only in a pair of shorts and bare feet. He draws water and dashes back with it, pours it into the pot in which he had initially poured the dried flour, thus the name Khuoyaisia or pouring. After Khuoyaisia, the initiative proceeds to invite selected relatives and friends. It is during Khuoyaisia that the father gives out instructions. You will go to your uncle, your aunt. In most cases, he starts with his aunt. An aunt has some specialized roles, therefore she should prepare in advance. He moves around with the bells inviting relatives, designated ones, not just everyone. The reason is because in those days we had hostile communities that would attack the initiate and his caravan. Again, people lived far apart, and most importantly, every invited person had a role to play. Father's age mates, known as Bakoki, as well as clansmen, will be invited. The last invitee is the maternal uncle. When the initiate arrives here, a cow will be slaughtered. A piece of meat known as lihone, cut from the spleen, will be worn around his neck. If the uncle loves his sister, he will wear you a huge meat so that you stagger under it. Although some uncles do not slaughter anything, the initiate dances all the way home with his caravan. During circumcision ceremony, the Bukusu have a special song called Ekhoyo, sung only at some specific stages of the ceremony. It is sung 4 times, that is, during Khuoyaisia, when an initiate is about to set out to his uncle's place, when his father's age mates are releasing him to go to the river for smearing, and lastly, when he is coming home naked from the river. The circumcision ceremony is accompanied by special songs, which are meant to encourage the initiate to brave the cat. The songs render the air on the eve of circumcision, dancing, shouting, ululations, and drinking of traditional brew called busa, gracing the event. This progresses further into the night when the initiate will proceed to rest. The eve of circumcision is called Khuminya. Relatives are invited with a reason. For instance, a maternal uncle is present to absolve himself of any weaknesses that the initiate may exhibit. A paternal aunt is there to examine the initiate's manhood. She will give a report after the circumcision. In case there are any signs of impotence, she will prescribe the necessary remedies. So basically, every invitee has a role to play. But why should the initiate undergo such a rigorous process that culminates in simply cutting the foreskin?
Mwana ino wakananga ne bali balaminyanga. Balolanga bintu biliyo bikhabikira mwana na yekherera namwesina. Wakana buba sine bulimo. Enyuli namwe wakana bulyuli namwe bukhebi namwe bukimba.
In the process, it is easy to identify spiritual gifts present in the initiate. The gifts can be blacksmithing, soothsaying, becoming a circumciser, rainmaking. The gifts make the initiate feeble and having stitches from time to time. That is why when a father selects a person who will be moving around with the omusinde, he selects a mature person who can easily discern the gifts in omusinde. Even when he is coming from the river, not just anyone will meet him. It should be the father, lest the gifts make the initiate deviant in future as the society engages in blame games. If he shows signs of blacksmithing, he will be handed a special hammer called enyuli. Throughout all the stages, right from Khuoyaisia until when he goes to his uncle's place, the gifts will have been identified and reported to the father for him to find the necessary tools. There are remedies that sedate the gifts until after circumcision has taken place. The process helps place the initiate in the right job specialization in future.
Embalu nyala yagira wamanya omwana ino nakhabewe lisayi nakhabe omukhebi namwe nakhabe omubasi namwe nakhabe omukimba namwe akhabena kumukabwa kwa lukanosi.
At dawn, he will be woken up by his father's age mates known as Bakoki, who will sing to him Sioyo. Thereafter, he will be taken to the river before coming back for a cut. A selected male elder relative, one who is believed to be of good character, a family man, is tasked with smearing the initiate, backing instructions and pieces of advice at the same time. On his way back, he is met with an aunt who slaps him with a cooking stick dipped in busa. This too is significant. An aunt has her roles during the ceremony. There is something called kamayeku. You have heard people say kamayeku. This is the brew that the initiate prepared during Khuoyaisia, although sometimes the brew made for general drinking can be used. So the aunt, having smeared herself with soot, dashes to meet the initiate with a cooking stick dipped in kamayeku. She does not merely slap him with the stick. She is communicating to him that, "Go ye, be a man of your home and bring forth children to make us proud." It is not mere drama as some people take it to be. The aunt is examining the initiate's manhood. Sometimes the manhood shows signs of impotence. At home, there are rules that govern how the initiate will stand. Normally, the initiates stand holding their waists while facing the sunset. The reason as to why they face the sunset is to signify that the Bukusu migrated from the west to the east. In some clans, however, they are handed a piece of stick cut from a tree known as Khuminya to hold across their shoulders. After facing the knife, the initiate's name changes to Omufulu, living in seclusion referred to as Likombe. He will be governed by rules for the 4 months he will be there.
Kucha mwikombe serunge khasa na jamari tu. Albalamu botosia ikombe ro khabiri. Wakata runye keche ne huingira mo kengira mo simanyi. Mungira ndala khubolambo munundi khenja mwetu mala ne kharure se khakobale mota.
Omufulu does not enter Likombe straight. He is taken round Likombe 2 times before entering backwards. This signifies that he is joining adulthood forever. The key reason for one to undergo seclusion is to receive education and instructions. Similar to a snake that turns around after entering its hole to face outside, Omufulu is trained to be sharp, ready to face the world. Inside Likombe, he will be assigned an assistant called Namachengeche and Namahala. Namachengeche is a lady who will be preparing meals while Namahala is his errand boy. There are rules that he will strictly observe, enforced by Namachengeche. If he is a lazy person who does not want to apply Engu, a medication herb, she will report. Afterwards, the circumciser will come back to give instructions to the initiate. It is here that he will also examine if the initiate has healed appropriately. That happens at the tail end of the seclusion period. The initiate's departure and entry movements are also rule-bound. The rain should not find him outside, no visits while in seclusion. He can't sleep anywhere other than in Muikombe. He should be apply Engu, a medication herb, she will report. Afterwards, the circumciser will come back to give instructions to the initiate. It is here that he will also examine if the initiate has healed appropriately. That happens at the tail end of the seclusion period. The initiate's departure and entry movements are also rule-bound. The rain should not find him outside, no visits while in seclusion. He can't sleep anywhere other than in Muikombe. He should be in by 3 p.m. Bafulu, the plural form of Omufulu. Respect each other. No insults, no shaking hands with anybody because it is unhygienic. You know, you can shake hands, then proceed to touch your wound afterwards, only for you to pass germs and infections. The Bukusu, you know, they were very hygienic. And you see, it is a measure to combat coronavirus today. He will also be assigned a grown-up person. It can be his elder brother who will be monitoring the application of Engu. They call it Nalulwe. That was medication in those days. Leave alone the processed medicine. A finely ground Engu applied on the wound, my grandson, will make you kick everything around you. And this Engu was magical and significant. If applied on any other part of the body, it drills and worsens the wound, but it heals the circumcised thing. Some of the wonders of this world. If a child is suffering from body rashes and pruritus, Engu heals, but normal wounds worsen upon its application. That is a subject worth research. Seclusion period lasts for 4 months, normally from August to December. The initiative will have undergone serious training, some instructions kept as a secret. Here, he graduates into Omutembete in a ceremony called Luhya, or coming out of seclusion. More episodes coming up. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video with your friends.